Hi, I'm Dr. K, and in this video, I'm going to talk about how to stay motivated when you're trying to lose weight and keep it off. As you may or may not know, I've been running a weight loss clinic for the last 14 years where I specialize in helping busy women over 40 to lose weight and keep it off without dieting by changing their relationship with food. And if you haven't already, please subscribe so you can get more weight loss tips for women over 40. So let's talk about motivation. Most dieters struggle with motivation. Maybe in your own experience, you've found that you're able to stay motivated for a week or two, or on the odd occasion even a few months, but it's really hard to maintain it for longer than that. And with some diets, even a couple of days feels like torture. Why is it so hard to stay motivated? Some of the reasons include: 1, it's really hard to stick to the restrictions of a diet. Think of a chocoholic going on a no-carb diet. 2, life gets in the way. You may be fine when life is calm, but as soon as it gets busy, things fall apart. 3, you may find that if you're not getting the results you desire as fast as you desire, your motivation wanes. Or 4, some people find that once they've achieved their goal, they find it hard to keep motivated. And so the question becomes, how do you stay motivated when you're losing weight? I'm going to share with you 12 tips for motivation that I've found have been extremely helpful for my clients to keep them motivated and on track. And at the end, I'm going to give you a bonus tip that is especially important for once you've reached your weight loss goal. Tip 1. Here's a question we need to answer. Can anyone stay motivated 100% of the time for the long term? And it's important to remember that on this YouTube channel, I'm always talking about long-term weight loss. There's no point losing weight over a couple of months and then gaining it all back a few weeks later. We're talking about losing weight and it never coming back. So, if we're talking about long-term weight loss, is it realistic to expect to stay motivated and focused 100% of the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for the rest of your life? No, it's not realistic at all, because motivation is something that comes and goes. It's not always going to be at 100%, and if that's what you're expecting, you're going to be disappointed. So rather than figuring out how to stay motivated 100% of the time, which is impossible, we need to ask a different question that I think most dieters never ask. How do we take motivation out of the equation? How do we achieve this goal without needing to rely on motivation? Now, I'm not saying you don't need some motivation, especially at the beginning, to take action, but we shouldn't be relying on it 100% of the time for every eating decision for the rest of your life. So what's the thing that makes motivation less important? What is it that allows us to transcend motivation? It's habits. If you make doing the right thing second nature, then we don't need motivation as much. We just automatically do the things we need to do to maintain our weight. Habits allow us the freedom to let go of motivation. They are the key to long-term success. Tip 2. If you're wanting to lose weight, you've probably got a number in mind, a particular weight you want to reach. And this number is your motivation. Let's say it's losing 30 pounds. And that seems to make sense. If I focus on the goal, that should give me motivation. But what tends to happen is if you focus too much on a particular weight loss goal, you're too invested in the movement of the scale, which can be motivating but also very discouraging. I always say to clients, instead of focusing on the weight loss goal, focus on changing behavior, specifically on getting breakthroughs in the way that you deal with certain food situations. For instance, you could lose 3 pounds in a particular week, but then gain it all back the next week. But if you figure out how to stop emotionally eating when you get stressed, that's a huge victory that you can use for every week after that. It's an investment in weight maintenance for the rest of your life. So the behavioral wins are really what you want to focus on, rather than the goal. The goal is fine, but keep it in the background. Tip 3. Most people have been conditioned, or should we say brainwashed, into thinking of weight loss in terms of speed and deadlines. It's not enough to lose weight, they want to lose weight fast. But think about it, why should we judge weight loss in terms of how quickly we achieve it? It doesn't actually make sense. For many of my clients, their weight is something that has been a problem for years, maybe even decades. And yet, because of the usual diet messaging, a part of them expects to solve the problem in a few weeks. It makes no sense, but everyone does it. If you want to make sure that you sabotage your ability to lose weight once and for all, stay obsessed with weight loss deadlines. They really are like poison for weight loss. As soon as you start to think about losing weight in terms of deadlines, you're more conditioned to want to do drastic, depriving things in order to lose weight. And as soon as you don't get the progress that you expected, and no one ever loses weight as quickly as they expect to in their mind, then you'll get disappointed and discouraged, and you're more likely to get fed up, overeat, binge, or even give up. So push the deadlines from your mind. Focus on behaviors and habits. If you focus on the behaviors and habits, you'll get to your goal. Tip 4. Most weight loss plans are too focused on deprivation. Foods that you love are often forbidden. And as soon as you're not allowed to eat things you love, you need massive amounts of motivation to stick to the plan. But long-term weight management means that you need to be able to eat whatever you want, because otherwise you'll feel deprived and miserable, and that doesn't lead to long-term weight loss. In fact, deprivation is what feeds cravings and ultimately causes binges. So I believe that a sustainable weight loss regime or approach is one that incorporates foods that you love and where nothing is forbidden. But how do you lose weight while still allowing yourself to eat what you want? If you want to find out more about how to do that, check out my free training course. It will open your mind to what is possible. The link is in the description below. Tip number 5. It's very much a relic of diet thinking where you think that success and losing weight is sticking to the plan 100% of the time, being perfect. And anytime you're not perfect, then you're failing. I had a client recently tell me that when she messed up, she felt like she was being a bad student. Instead, when we're talking about long-term weight management, you have to accept that you're going to mess up. You cannot be perfect all the time, and if you're aiming for perfection, you're more likely to get discouraged, overeat, binge, or give up. Instead, you have to accept that there will be setbacks. Expect that you will have times when you overeat, you'll have times when your weight doesn't budge, and you'll have times even when your weight goes up. Expect that and accept it. It's okay, you're still going to get there. Tip 6. Rather than just focus on the weight and the number, what's often more helpful is to focus on your one main reason for wanting to manage your weight. For instance, for some of my clients, their daughters are their motivation because they want to demonstrate to them that they're able to manage their weight, their health, and their well-being. And so whenever things get bad and they feel like giving up, all they need to do is think of their daughter and it instantly gives them energy, motivation, and determination. So it's good if you can find out what your why is. And it can be anything, even just the desire to be the healthiest, best version of yourself. Tip 7. I know many of my clients would not have stuck to their weight loss journey as long as they have without having me as a support. Yes, I can give them the system for how to lose weight, but it's being there as someone to speak to every week that really helps in the inevitable ups and downs. Don't forget that losing weight permanently is a long-term mission. It's changing your lifestyle, it's changing your relationship with food. It's not something you do overnight. And anything that is a long-term project benefits from having a support system, from having someone to talk things through. And even if you can't get my help, it's still good to find someone to keep you accountable and on track. Tip 8. I've already talked about finding different ways to measure your progress than obsessing over how much weight you've lost week by week. But one of the other things that I find is a very good indicator of progress is clients are just generally happier. They feel happier because they are no longer obsessing about food or anxious about every food decision. They're eating what makes them feel good. They're more active, they're looking after their sleep, they're looking after their stress levels, they're doing things for self-care, and they're not overeating or binging and feeling bad about themselves. So happiness is actually a really good indicator of progress and much better than focusing on your weight. Tip 9. Many of the clients I see are very success-oriented, busy, and driven. And part of their way of working is to put immense pressure on themselves to achieve things. And that does work to some extent in other areas of life, but it doesn't tend to work with weight loss. And that's often why many of my clients are very successful in other areas of life, but when they come to me, weight is the one area where they struggle with. And that's because pushing yourself harder, or trying to go faster when you're trying to lose weight, you just end up starving yourself and then feeling deprived, and it all falls apart. So an important part of this approach is to realize that this sort of pressure is counterproductive. To lose weight for the long term, be nice to yourself. Tip 10. It's very tempting when you're trying to lose weight and then you hear about someone who's been on a particular diet and they say they lost 20 pounds in 10 days or whatever, and you start thinking, what am I doing wrong? And you feel annoyed and discouraged and impatient. But you have to make sure that you're comparing with something that's real and relevant. Sometimes the person that has lost weight is starving, deprived, and miserable. Who wants to live like that? Or you're catching them at the moment they've just lost the weight and they're about to rebound. Or the person may be a different gender to you. Of course, men lose weight faster than women. Or the person is much younger than you. A 25-year-old can lose weight really quickly on almost any diet. And as you know, losing it quickly doesn't mean it's going to last. But a 45-year-old should not be comparing themselves to a 25-year-old when it comes to pace of weight loss. So always take these claims with a pinch of salt and don't let it put you off your mission of achieving something that very few people achieve, which is long-term natural weight loss. Have you ever felt distracted by someone's misleading success on a diet? If you have, leave a comment below. Tip 11. Be aware of things that will negatively affect your motivation. For instance, stress or lack of sleep. If these are affecting your motivation, be aware of them, try and address them, and don't let them affect your motivation or stop you from keeping on going. Again, you're playing the long game, so you need to be aware that there will be ups and downs. Tip 12. When you're trying to lose weight, your mind will constantly be trying to play tricks on you. One thing I often notice clients doing is that they compare where they are currently to where they think they should be at the same point in time. And where they think they should be is often bizarrely optimistic. For instance, they might have lost 12 pounds, and that's great progress, but in their mind, for some reason they should be 45 pounds lighter by that same stage. Where is this magic reality where you're losing weight so fast without starving yourself? Always be on guard for these weird hypothetical realities where the weight is melted off faster than it ever has and without any downsides. It's not real. Don't let it affect what you're achieving in the real world. Bonus tip. This tip becomes especially important once you've reached your weight loss goal. So even when you've changed your habits and everything is going fine, if you don't control your environment, you will have difficulties. For instance, if you have chocolate bars on your desk at work or a jar of cookies on the kitchen counter, you're needlessly tempting yourself and you'll eventually give in to the temptation. It's just human nature. Many of these snacks are designed to be maximally alluring and irresistible, and if you surround yourself needlessly with these things, you're going to find it a struggle. So a huge part of long-term weight loss and maintenance is being very careful with your food environment. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably also enjoy this one about why people who are successful in every other area of life may still struggle to manage their weight. And I'll see you next time.